What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Becoming Roy podcast. I'm your host, Roy, and this show exists to help people discover who it is that they're made to be. And I do that by sharing a little bit that I know, by sharing the process and the journey that I'm on of becoming who it is that I feel I'm made to be, and by having conversations with people that are living inspired lives. Now, the journey that I'm on, some tangible, quantifiable things that I'm pursuing. One, I'm on the road to 100 episodes. This is episode 23, my Jordan episode, if you will. And I'm on the quest of losing 100 pounds. I'm down about 21 pounds from, 31 pounds from that goal. So I've got about 70 more pounds to go. Also trying to hit that by June, 100 episodes by June, lose 100 pounds by June. And then I'm also prepping for a marathon that is 90 days from today. And training is not going great. It's going, but it's just not as consistent. I'm not much of a runner. I don't have much running experience. And so whatever. Those are my quantifiable, tangible goals with metrics that I'm working on here in this podcast, and really just trying to be an inspirational person. And today I'm going to be sharing three secrets, if you will, to live an impactful life. Three simple things that you can do to have world-changing impact. Now, before I hop into this video, I want to tell you about my week, and I need to set up a little bit of my background. I'm still trying to figure out who my audience is. I don't fully know. I know a couple of you guys have told me that you listen, but I feel like I've lived a couple of lives up until this point. Now, my current life, nobody knows of the former life. And this week, my beautiful week, had a lot of moments and interactions and callbacks to my quote-unquote former life. For those of you that don't know, I've lived in Kansas City for about 10 years, and I moved here to work with high school students. I came to work a summer camp that I attended as a teenager, as a teenager, had the opportunity to come and staff that camp. And then year after year after year was still involved, to a point where I was one of the directors for the camp. And that, if you've experienced that Roy, you've experienced peak Roy. I am my happiest and my most fulfilled, and gosh, just the best version of me at camp. Working with students, working with young people and teenagers, coaching coaches, leading leaders in the context of mentorship, and in this instance, youth ministry specifically. And so this past week, a week ago, I had the privilege and opportunity to photograph a proposal. These weren't students of mine, but there's definitely some older sibling, younger sibling energy between these two friends of mine that are now engaged. Definitely peers for sure, like we're friends, but there have been moments where I get to challenge and, be a big brother in some ways. And just that was a very beautiful honor. That was last Sunday, 7 days ago. Then Monday, I get a text, and it's this was a previous camper of mine. I met this guy when he was 9 years old, and have been was great friends with this guy's family. And he texted me and said, "Hey man, would you want to photograph my proposal?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, tell me when." This bonehead, he's the same guy. He was like, "Tomorrow." All right. So that was, photographed that Sunday. And then we did the proposal. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. He texted me the night before. Went, did that proposal. And then I get another text from a previous camper of mine. I haven't talked to this guy in, 4 years probably. And he had just gotten married 2 weeks ago and was on his way back home from his honeymoon. And he had told his now wife, so much about Kansas City and his time at camps and how much it meant to him. And she was like, "Why don't we stop in Kansas City?" And so they did. and he reached out to me, and we got dinner. And you know, it's interesting. I don't know how much you guys experience you have in this kind of context, but imagine like someone you were cool with, had good interactions with, and then like 4 years later, it's like, I didn't know if it'd be awkward. I mean, it's just a normal thought. I didn't think it would be awkward, but I was like, we'll go to dinner and then we'll kind of head our separate ways. But I mean, we ate dinner. We were at dinner for an hour, and then we sat at the dinner table in this restaurant for another 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I think we sat and talked for 3.5 hours probably. And it was just the most beautiful, special thing. And then another instance, I'm going to come back to dinner with Mason. I'll just say his name. Shout out Mason. And Mason and Alex. Shout out to you guys. I'm going to come back to that. But then I had another instance yesterday. I got to go to a wedding of a good friend of mine that I met when this guy he just wrapped up 8th grade. And I made it a point to go to almost every home game that he had, football home game in high school. And I had the opportunity of taking this guy's pictures every homecoming, every prom. And then after graduation, like, we started working together, and then he started doing youth ministry with me. And it was just like, it was beautiful to see him do all the things that he said he wanted to do, getting the job he wanted, and getting married, and all of these things. And at the wedding, seeing so many previous students, and it was just special because they're all adults now. And I tried my best. I think I did a good job of this. I mean, you'd have to ask these individuals. But when people turn 18, I try to treat them as peers. And there are many instances where people would turn 18 and they would still treat me as like the youth leader. I'm like, dude, we're peers now. And it is so cool. It is so cool to now see students or previous students. Now they're adults. Now they're 22, 21, 25. And they're living their life, and they're doing the thing that they said they wanted to do all those years ago. It's a really beautiful, really special. It was really kind of sad because I'm not doing that kind of work anymore. And that is, like I said at the beginning, that is the best Roy. The best version of me is mentoring students, is, you know, being around, challenging and coaching and whatever. I'm going to get back to it. But at dinner with Mason, Mason said a handful of things, and those words and phrases actually just kind of pierced my heart in a beautiful, profound way that I was like, I mean, I started tearing up a couple of times. Well, one of the times was just in text conversation where he said, I've told my wife a lot about Kansas City, and I've told my wife a lot about you. I haven't talked to this kid in 4 years. And he's talking about me to the girl that he's going to have babies with and start a family with. And for some reason, I did something that it was worth mentioning that to her years later. And so that was the first thing that kind of pierced my heart, Mason, that you said just in text and passing. And then the other thing is he's telling me stories about us at camp. He said, I'll never forget, you were taking our temp. It was after COVID and we had to wear masks, and you took my temp, and then you dropped your mask down. You said, you're the GOAT, Mason. And then he just kept going because we had a line to get through. I didn't remember that. I don't remember that interaction, but he did. And then he, just so intentionally shared with me what camp meant to him and just encouraged me, really. Now I know it sounds like I'm just talking about all these great things that I did, part of this is I'm sharing it with you guys because it was a really cool story. So selfishly, that was, just a cool moment. But in all transparency, to be vulnerable with you guys on my journey of becoming, I feel like I wasted 6 or 7 years of my life here in Kansas City because I'm not doing that job anymore. And that whole thing didn't end super well. And I don't, quote unquote, have much to show for it. Couple that with feeling lonely, and I have a bad propensity of isolating at times. And you take isolation and you breed it with the feeling of I wasted my time. Man, it's really easy to get discouraged. And I'm sure some of you know that. Some of you are isolating too much right now, and you feel overall discouraged about a million different things. Isolation will do that to you. It's an amplifier of negative emotion. And so I was very encouraged. Mason, thank you. And Mason helped me as I reflected on that dinner and on our conversations and some of the things that he shared with me. It made me think of, what does an impactful person do? I think this is a blessing and a curse, but I try to live my life and I want to be calculated. I want to be intentional with the things that I'm doing. And I think that great outcomes and great behaviors, I think can, in a lot of instances, it's a formula. And Mason actually is a teacher. He and his wife are teachers. And so I was like, wow, dude, you guys are going to do this for somebody. And I can think of, several teachers that I've had that have just made such a lasting impression. And I graduated 10 plus years ago at that. And so these 3 things that I'm going to share with you guys are what I believe impactful people do. What I'm grateful that I did at that time, what I'm trying to do now. And as I think of the people that impacted me, these are the character traits. These are the things that you can do to change someone's life, to have a lasting impact. I heard somebody say once, you might not be able to change the world, but you can change somebody's world. So do these 3 things. The first thing is to be where you're at. Be where you're at. I'm so grateful that when I was a camp director, when I was working summer camps, when I was working with students, that for the most part, I was there. I made it a point to go to the football games. I made it a point to go to the futsal games. I didn't even know what futsal was. And I went, and I made it a point to go to the plays, and I made it a point to just show up for the students in the ways that maybe don't really matter, going to the drum recital and the choir concerts. And when you just are, I was fully there and I fully did the thing, that gives you some relational equity, and it shows somebody really silently, hey, I'm here and I care. I'm talking about things that I have done that are yeah, I'm glad I did this. But on the other side of the same coin, some of my biggest regret is not being fully where my feet were. One of my biggest regrets, honestly, in life, that I have to be very intentional to not beat myself up about still, is not being more present when I was home after I graduated. Really, when I was in high school, as a junior and senior, and then the 2 years that I was home after I graduated, or a year and a half that I was home after I graduated, I just worked all the time for what? I had 3 part-time jobs, and I was doing an internship at a church, and I was in school, and I was so busy. I wish I worked one job, and I wish I went to school and took it serious. I took some dope film classes, and I didn't do anything but show up to class. If that. I could have made some really cool projects, and I could have finished a degree. I could have, saying I could have done this and that. Gosh, I miss my siblings every single day. And there was a period of time when I slept under the same roof as them and just didn't bother to make time for them. And that is worthy of regret. Now, obviously, I'm not beating myself up. There's pain attached to it, but pain being attached to it emphasizes and actually evolves this into a conviction that you need to be where your feet are. Maybe you're thinking about moving, or maybe you want to move, or you want to transition to a different job, or something is going to change. Sure, obviously we want to do our due diligence. I'm not telling you to be irresponsible or to never make a change or never think about change. But the change will happen, and it's going to happen because you're going to do your part, and time goes anyways. So while we're waiting for you to move to college, while we're waiting for you to get the job, can you be fully where you're at right now, please? And that leads me to the second thing. So one is being fully where you're at. And two, the second thing that we're going to do, or that all people that live impactful lives do, is they look. You got to pay attention. Stop navel gazing, which is looking down, looking at yourself. Lift your head up and look around. Notice your people. Pay attention to things like your friends and your family. Because when we notice things, gosh, we're enabled to be more thoughtful. Some of the times that I feel the most loved is when someone brings me a Coke Zero without asking, because they know there's always a damn Coke Zero in my hand. Or last week is a great example. I'm at work, and I had so many tech issues, and I was not super visibly stressed, but I was definitely like, oh yeah, we got to figure this out. And it definitely was a challenge to do what I was needed to do. And one of the volunteers had his wife bring him and me, like she was bringing him a drink, and they included me and got me freaking dope Coke Zero with lime and sugar-free coconut cream or something from Sonic. Dude, that was so electric to me. And that happened because they open their eyes and they're paying attention. And when we can pay attention and we can open our eyes and get our head up and stop looking down and being so self-focused, and I need to do this, and I want to make this change, and I'm going to move here, or I want to get this job, whatever the thing is, if we can look around and notice the people around us while we're fully being present, then we're able to love other people more. I mean, if you're wanting to be impactful, you got to get your eyes off of yourself. You need to stop thinking about what you can do to further whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you need to be thinking, wow, how can I see somebody today? How can you see somebody today? Pay attention. Make a note about the things that your coworkers like. There's someone that I work with that they have a page on our organization's master calendar doc where everyone, they ask everyone to put down their favorite restaurant and their favorite drink and their go-to snack. And sometimes this person just brings people, their favorite thing. That's how we're going to be impactful. You're going to be fully where you're at, and you're going to look. And the third thing that you're going to do, and I've talked about this before, is that I need you to open your mouth. Use your words. I mean, so many times we just assume people know the things we're thinking, so we don't say them. I mean, think about it. Think about, it's kind of leaving me. Think about someone that has done something of impact to you right now, Actually, this is an exercise I want you to do. Think about your mom. Think about your dad. Think about your youth pastor or your football coach. This exercise is really cool if you're 30 years old or older or 25 years and older. Because instantly when I think about those people, when they impacted me, when I had that interaction, I'm about their age right now. And I feel like I do not have a grip on life. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm working a job that I'm not super fulfilled in. I love my job, but I want to work with students. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm been trying to lose weight for 10 years. I talked about this recently. Like, I've had the same goals for the last 10 years. I've wanted to be inspirational for 10 years. And like, I could say that by my own metrics. I don't think I've been inspirational, but I think Mason would think that I'm crazy for saying that based on our conversation. And so when we think about the people, if in case you missed it, when we think about those people that impacted us, you got to remember that they were once your age. They were once in your position. They were once single. They were once without children. They were once trying to figure out life just like you are trying to figure out life. That's the thing that like both gets me fired up and excited and also super frustrated. To go back to the point of we need to be thoughtful. Like, newsflash, you're not the only one that's experiencing heartbreak. You're not the only one that's experiencing loneliness or sadness. You're not the only one that is stressed and worried and not sure about this or not sure about that, or is, feels insecure about life and just wants security, and whatever the thing is that is stressing you out, you're not the only one that feels that way. Actually, there's probably more people that feel the way you feel than you actually think, because I'm guilty of this, because I get so consumed. We can get so consumed with, like me, and I feel lonely and I feel this, and those things are real. But gosh, there's something about noticing somebody. And then when you begin to look, you're like, like they were just like me. Nobody is special in their suffering. A lot of people feel very alone. A lot of people feel very behind. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. And so, what's the third point, Roy? I'm trying to get to. The third point is I need you to use your words. That was a huge, it's been a value of mine that I try to use. I try to exercise. But my friend Mason just reminded me of that the other day. He could have assumed that I knew that I was X, Y, and Z. But he took the time to say, hey man, you made an impact in my life. Open your mouth and say the things that you think are obvious. Because what I don't know is obvious is that I don't know that it's obvious to Mason that I feel like I wasted time. That maybe I didn't have as much, I didn't impact as many people as I thought I did or hoped I did. Or I don't know that I feel like I impacted anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not obvious to him. It's more obvious to think, the adult knows that what they're doing about what they're doing. Now, say the obvious thing to your mom, to your dad. Say the obvious thing to the person you're working with, the person that seems so much farther ahead of you in whatever it is you're pursuing. Say the obvious thing, man. You have no idea the impact that a small acknowledgement can make. And so that's it, man. Those are the 3 things that you can do. Maybe you're not going to change the world, but you can change somebody's world by doing these 3 things. By being where your feet are, fully present where you're at. By looking up, by getting your eyes and attention off of yourself and noticing the people that are around you. Noticing the people that you can love, noticing the people that you can help. And by using your words, by saying things that we think are obvious. Obviously, the pastor thinks he's a good speaker. Sure, but you think that they don't need encouragement too? So that's all for today. I have so much bebopping in my head right now about ideas and different things. And so if you have anything you want me to talk about, whoever you are, let me know. I've got 100 episodes to do. I have, 80 more, 70 more, 75 more, whatever. So, but that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should add. I won't. Okay. Control what you control. Make it a great day, and I will see you on the next one.